We approached the show at first at the pilot stage at just kind of our, our wish list of what we would want to do. And then we were very fortunate to be able to have an incredible effects team that never said no, that just said, okay, let's figure out how to do it all.
Adam and Eddie and the writing team are so good at thinking up these absolutely fantastic situations, and they'll write on a page, the scene opens and Geppetto and Pinocchio are cast in the middle of a storm, the giant whale lurking in the background.
Hold on, my boy!
I'm trying, Father!
A lot of people, I don't think, realize that they only have a couple weeks to pull this off, and you can spend 3 weeks on a scene like that.
We had our actor Geppetto on the raft in a tank.
And that performance that we got from him with the wind and the rain and the fans and everything is very visceral and very real.
I think we had 4 Ritter fans and rain towers and smoke and water cannons, and we had wave machines to make waves on the water.
Their water in that sequence, for example, only goes 60 feet out. So they're setting the tone, they're setting the look of the water, and we're replicating that all the way through.
We were able to comp in the little boy later in motion capture. We had the real boy do a temp recording on video so that we could see his facial expressions, and then those facial expressions were actually used in the modeling of the wooden puppet.
We had a lot of very heavy visual effects. We had water, we had rain, we had virtual characters, we had motion capture characters, we had keyframe characters, we had virtual sets. It really showed the depth and the breadth of the kind of work that we do.
No, Father! You take it! Save yourself!
Pinocchio!
One of the big preparations we need to do is which sets are going to be virtual and which sets are going to be practical. And either way, Michael Joy and his art department and I are working together to decide how we're going to create this world.
If there's something that has to be designed, I do a little cartoon, and then it's pre-visualized by artists who make a full-color illustration. And that's sort of how we communicate with pictures.
I say we fight! We do a lot of virtual sets on Once Upon a Time, hence this large green screen stage here. The War Room is a virtual set. We have large practical components, table for set dressing and that the actors can sit around and perform around, some columns, but everything else is virtual.
Amongst all the people who are talking in this very kind of intense moment are Jiminy Cricket, who's 3 inches of insect sitting on the table, and Blue Fairy, who's hovering in the middle of the table, also talking back and forth. 2 very different visual effects techniques. Blue Fairy is shot on a very sophisticated flying rig. So what we did was we shot with a little light on the end of a fishing line that was moving from place to place so that everybody's eye line could be right. And then after the fact, we went back to the stage, and on green screen, we played back that sequence. Stunts programmed this flying rig so that she flew to the correct place as she was going from spot to spot to spot in the scene, and then we were able to extract her and put her Blue Fairy sparkles on her and put her wings on her and integrate her back into the scene.
This will work.
The audience can see you looking at something, they're going to assume it's really there.
You just let your imagination kind of run wild when you're on the green screen.
We had filled this large green screen stage with basically just floor components and a couple of wall components. We had the coffin on set.
There were huge bouldery rocks and things for me to run on and jump on and hide behind. So having the physicality of those things built into that green screen space made it very easy for me. And then interestingly, because the camera was on a huge crane, the camera almost felt like the dragon. I was always looking near where the camera was, and it looks like this giant head on this big crane moving. So there was sort of an element of, the technical stuff that was going on that actually really aided me from an emotional perspective of reacting to something.
When I was running across the balcony, I would jump over and I would land on this huge thing, and it was automated, so it was on hydraulics, and that was the dragon's neck that I was holding around. It was just the best. It was like I was at a rodeo.
We shot a bunch of elements of flame going from different angles, from the side, from the front, from the back, that we could use to composite in with our CG character so that the real fire was there with them.
It's really interesting because you dream up something and then you actually get to see it brought to life.
must trust me. Because if you don't, there are other ways.
Another type of visual effect that we do on our show are the visual effects that exemplify magic.
We've strived to make the magic in the show be something that comes from an organic place. When Evil Queen throws fire, she pulls the fire from a fireplace and gathers it up and then throws it. When she wants to subdue somebody, she takes the armaments from around her and brings them together and throws them at the person. One of her abilities is to naturally control the environment around her. When Hansel and Gretel try to run away, the roots of the tree come up and grab them and bind them together. She's able to control the real things that are in real fairy tale land, and it really speaks to the overall idea that Adam and Eddie have so brilliantly created for the show, that for the people who live in fairy tale land's real.
And I'm constantly blown away by what they're capable of with special effects on this show. They just do such a great job.
What we've learned is that it's a question of planning. The more we know what we're going to do, the more we can achieve.
It takes a huge amount of effort from everybody, from the writers to the producers to the directors, to make it all happen.
5 years ago, we couldn't have done this show. The technology has advanced at such an incredible rate that the stuff that can be achieved on a weekly basis is mind-boggling now.